Welcome to this year's Engine Week. It's time to learn all about engines in aviation.
Firewall forward kits, sales and support for the engines overhauls.
Firewall forward components, radiators, cowlings, engine mounts.
This is based on several hundred Corvair-powered Zeniths that have flown over the years.
Thunderbolt is kind of its own animal for Lycoming.
Now it's Continental Titan, that's how they came together, yeah.
And we're looking for service and support dealers currently.
This is the UL260i, and this is the low compression version.
So welcome back to the 2024 Engine Week series, and we can't miss out with UL Power. So I'm out here in Cannon Creek Air Park, which is also Lake City, Florida, with Herman, who's been doing UL Power for about how many years now?
Well, officially since 2018, so for many years, yes.
Many years. And you've been to the school and the colleges?
And several times. We go almost every year because family is all in the Netherlands and it's only a 4-hour drive, so we'll always visit our Belgian friends and get some recurrency training and see if there's anything new. So yeah, we'll make it out there on a regular basis.
So we'll get into the engine talk here really quickly, but just to give you an overall of what Herman does here. Herman, explain what you do here at Wheels and Wings.
Well, we import the UL Power engines, which I have to say, well, I don't have to say anything, but we do that together with Ray Lawrence in Georgia. We run the shows together. That's one thing what we do, and on the other thing, I'm not busy every day with selling engines. I wish actually, but maybe in the future. But I'll do builder assist for STOL IT Aircraft, which keeps me busy from early in the morning till late at night.
And a few condition inspections. I see at airplane vans back there.
We do a lot of Dynon install. You can see I'm a Dynon authorized Sapphire partner, so we do a lot of Dynon installs. We're selling Dynon also, and whatever is needed to get your plane going.
And I understand that you just came back from a long couple-week training. You are now officially
an AMP.
An AMP. So let me shake your hand on camera.
I appreciate that. Yes.
I know it's a huge milestone.
It was, yes. I was already a light sport repairman, but this tops it off nicely to even broaden the market when needed, you know.
Yeah. So you'll drop Herman some comments below and congratulate, because if you've ever looked into getting to be a mechanic, an AMP, it's not impossible, but it's a timing thing with work and all that stuff. It's a big thing to get it done.
I had to supply close to 4,000 hours working on aircraft before the FAA wants to sign you off. They don't want, you have to have a sign off. Otherwise, if you don't have the experience, it's not doable. Unless you go to a school. You can go to a school for 2 years. That's not a big deal. But
well, you think after building and flying several airplanes that would count for something?
Well, I thought so too, but there's a whole ruling that, and it's too deep to go back into it, but a couple of years ago the FAA didn't recognize experimental aircraft. And that was rewound, thankfully, through EAA, maybe AOPA, but at least EAA, they made quite a fist, and the FAA, they reversed that ruling. Now the experimental hours are accepted again.
Well, maybe I should looking to get mine after I build an airplane.
Well, you get your repairman certificate for your own airplane.
True.
So that's half the hours. Well, maybe you are closely to 3,000 hours, aren't you?
Funny guy.
Sorry, I had to say it.
All right, I'm going to jump on the other side of the camera and kind of do a walk and talk with Herman, all the different UL Power models that are out there. And he even has one or two of the 6-cylinder, which is up to how many horsepower?
So up to 220 horsepower turbo, but we don't have a turbo here. It will be back end of January. It's actually at the paint shop now. So yeah, we had it in a different video last year. So if people want to see it, they can search back in the videos to see something of the turbo.
Okay, well let's talk engines.
Okay, cool. Welcome to Lake City.
All right, Herman, well, let's start off with kind of like the least to the greatest as far as the UL Power offerings.
Yeah, this is the UL260i, and this is the low compression version of our smallest engine. It's 160 pounds, has 97 horsepower, at 97 horsepower tested horsepower, and which is 85 horsepower continuously. Very lightweight, as I said, 160 pounds. We have it also in a 107, which gives you 95 horsepower continuously. We have two different horsepower ratings because of they all run on a test stand on maximum RPM. In daily life, 3300 is hard to achieve, so 2800 is a continuous rating, which I prefer to advertise, which is a much more realistic rating.
Well, and that also could fit a wider range of planes, right? Where you got a smaller plane or a plane that could use a smaller prop can
Correct.
turn the 3,300
yeah.
RPMs
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
something that's more like a STOL type aircraft. You're going to be closer to the 28.
Correct, and it will be for takeoff because our maximum time is 5 minutes at full RPM at 3,300. So it's not that you can run this the whole day long at 3,300.
Okay, and now the UL power is kind of unique where it is air-cooled, oil-cooled, but yet it has a different fuel supply.
It has fuel injection and it's full FADEC, so it is electronic ignition, dual spark plug, fuel injection. It has indeed oil cooling and air cooling, and it is direct drive. UL power is the best power to weight ratio in its class. So we have the lightest engines available with the best amount of horsepower, and you do have the latest technology. Our ECU has a CAN bus output. So you hook the Dynon, Garmin, MGL, GRT, you can hook that up to the CAN bus, and it's all the aviation protocol, so you don't have to add extra senders. So it keeps the installation much cleaner, as we will see in a little bit.
Now, is this 100% machined billet engine parts now, or is it cast and machined?
No, there is no cast, it's all billet machined. The cylinders are steel, but all the aluminum is billet, and 75% of it is made in-house in Belgium. So we have very short lead times. We look at about 10 to 12 weeks, sometimes even 9 weeks from between when your deposit comes in till delivered at your door.
What is the uniqueness to the red valve covers versus the black valve covers I see in your shop here?
So the red valve covers are low compression, the black valve covers are high compression. That's where we immediately can see the difference.
And then is there any other unique features to the fuel injection? I think in previous years we talked about the intake manifold, depending on if the configuration can be turned or something?
As I said, yeah, you're right. You can swap them around. If you want to have a front intake, you can turn the intake manifold around. One of the unique things is, as you can see, it's very simple. We only have one wire loom for the engine. This is for the coil packs. We have 2 coil packs, so we have every spark plug is ignited from each coil, similar to a magneto ignition, and we use our throttle position as our load indicator. So we don't have a separate map sensor. We do have a fuel pressure regulator on the left side. Well, for the viewers left, it's on the right side of the engine, cylinder number 1 and 3. So there is a vacuum line which goes here to compensate for your manifold pressure.
Okay, so this is FADEC. Some people might be concerned being computer controlled and failure points and so forth, but in reality, about how many sensors does this engine need to run?
Only 2, or 3 actually. 1 to start for a hull sensor, 1 hull sensor to run, and you need your throttle position sensor for your load. So you use 2 sensors. We have a reliable engine. It's ASTM certified, so it is with dual ECU. You got ASTM certification. So we do have a couple planes with a first. Magnus is one of them. We have them as a full aerobatic version. So Magnus sells an airplane which is upset recovery training, and you can do that with a UL Power certified engine.
So let's talk about the charging and ignition system. Can this, once it's running, does it need a battery, or is it kind of self-sustaining once it's running? It's
self-sustaining. Once it's running, you will see in the installed version, we run a big capacitor, and you can disconnect the battery, and the capacitor is your little tank, like in a compressor. It's your holding tank, and that absorbs the current flows, and it keeps you running until you shut it off, and then you need a jump start is very dangerous, but you need a different battery to get started again.
I just want to pop in real quick and invite you all to our 31-day build challenge, which starts in December 1st through the 31st, which is why the 31 days. Every day is an opportunity to get something done on your aircraft, even if it's something very small like reading plans or setting out something for the next day. The idea is everybody has their end of year, New Year's resolution, and this is kind of a way to get started very early in December. And amongst other builders, they're doing the same thing. So I invite you to post some, we prefer video, but definitely photos of what you got going on in your hangar or your home workshop or even at your kitchen counter. Share with everybody what you got going on the Experimental Aircraft Channel group. That's on Facebook. Just search Experimental Aircraft Channel and groups. That should pop right up. And join us for the 31-day build challenge. And also, let's take a moment right now to thank our sponsors. Dynon Avionics at Dynon.com, the premier provider of glass panel avionics systems for experimental and light sport aircraft. And visit our website at experimentalaircraftchannel.com for new videos and easy to navigate playlists and so much more. All right, Herman, so let's jump right over to the big boy here, the 6-cylinder, which I have seen very few of so far. But now I come into your shop and there's a couple of them around here.
Yeah, we got on a path which is pretty unique. We're starting to install the 6-cylinder on the cruiser. It is again at 3,300 tested on the bands before they ship them. It's 185 horsepower. Continuously at 2,800, it's 170 horsepower, and with 220 pounds. It's a little heavier than our 350 engine, which you see commonly on the Zeniths. We designed a new engine mount for it, which is mainly designed for the Super Duty, but it works great on the cruiser also. So once you go into the mountains, you start off with a higher horsepower, and then up in altitude you still have a lot of horsepower available without the need to have to go to a turbo with much more complexity and much more heat.
And I see by the red valve covers that you're still running...
It's the low compression.
Low compression, so yeah. Lower octane.
We run 87 pump gas on this. Yes, on the low compression version, you can run 87 octane and up. Even when it's available, I still would use the 91 just to have a longer sustainability of your fuel. The fuel, if you get a higher octane rating fuel, it stays good longer. If you start off with 87, it deteriorates way quicker. And
MoGas is very readily available at a lot of airports these days.
Correct, yeah. And there's no problem going without ethanol. Ethanol, they burn ethanol perfectly, but ethanol is just, it's like a sniper for your quality of the fuel. It deteriorates it even quicker. So whenever I could, I go with ethanol-free gas, but you don't have to. So this is the 6-cylinder. As you saw, compared to the 4-cylinder, a lot of things look the same, and that is one of the benefits of UL Power. The cylinder heads are the same as all the other engines. It's modular. The middle one, of course, is a different one. The cylinders are the same as the 350, which is, you can see the length. The smaller one has a shorter stroke. This one has a longer stroke. I'll show you in a little bit. I have one big closet full of spare parts, and I can supply 90% of every part which is needed is in stock here. So if something might happen, we can supply you very quickly.
That's something good to point out, being that this is over across the pond. You have put it upon yourself to actually get inventory.
Yes.
So there isn't much of a lead time, so when people do need parts, they just call you up.
Yeah, yeah. And whenever I need something I don't have, we have it within 2 weeks. And if I'm a little bit wired differently coming from Europe. If I need one thing, I always order 5, so I know I have them in stock for the next one. And of course, after 5 years, I still have 4 in stock because it never breaks again, you know. But yeah.
So what is the big jump going from a 4-cylinder and the horsepower there to now the 6-cylinder? What is the fuel burn in each, approximately?
So the smaller one, this is the 260 is not really a fast mover. It's like for the smaller planes. So I would say maybe a Zenith 701, 1X. We have Oh, I have to think deeply. Mostly it's the 350, but as I said, 97 horsepower, this 185. The black valve covers is 200 horsepower. The 350 with the red valve cover, which I don't have here, is 115 horsepower. The 350 with the black valve covers, as you will see outside, and that one, that's 130 horsepower. That's our fast mover. And then the one missing is our turbo, which is 220 horsepower, and that's all the way up to 15,000 feet at 2,700 RPM continuous.
So what would you expect to burn on the lower horsepower rating to the highest?
So we go anywhere from 5.5 gallon an hour to the highest one. If you wanna, let's do the turbo. Let's say we have 205 continuous at 2,500. You burn probably about 13 gallons an hour, and if you look at the energy in the fuel, it doesn't matter which engine you look at. If somebody has a very low fuel burn, they either run on maybe half the RPM, or it's not true what they tell you, but fuel has a certain caloric value, and yes, there is a variable how much energy you take out of it, but you need to have a certain amount of fuel to get a certain amount of horsepower. That is physics. You can't change physics.
And is there any change from engine to engine to engine on the TBO, or are they all rated the same?
Except for the turbo, we have at the moment all 1,500 hours TBO. We throw out also. We also mention a 12-year, but if that's not something, if it runs good, why do you take it apart? And if you run past TBO and it runs good, why take it apart? Keep running it. When you do your service here, and I see it more and more in the country, luckily, is that people run oil analysis. So we do every oil change is oil analysis, and also borescope inspections.
So Herman, since you mentioned earlier about the engine mount and specifically for the Zenith here, why don't you talk to that for a second here. This is a new mount for the Zenith 750 platform.
Correct. This is for the 750 platform with the bigger 6 cylinders on it. So this works for the cruiser and also for the Super Duty. The weight and balance envelope is actually really great for a Zenith, so they are not so picky, and this works out great for the cruiser as well as for the Super Duty. The Super Duty with this mount, with the turbo engine, it's with the turbo engine you got 60 pounds more in the nose, so it compensates it very nicely. Yeah. We got this completely designed from plans with the help of Zenith in Canada, and they engineered. It was engineered in Belgium by UL Power. So, and it comes actually with a. It comes with a certificate. They do the G testing and everything on it.
So if anybody has seen the UL Power before on the 4-cylinder model on a mount, it sticks out way further. Almost, I would say, like 8 to 10 inches. It's significant. It's at least probably the width of a cylinder. All right, now stepping outside, you've got, of course, several projects going on here in your Builder Assist.
Correct.
This one's a little bit further along with an installation of a 4-cylinder versus the 6, and you can see again how much longer this engine mount is. But what do we got going on as far as installation on the UL Power?
This is a UL 350 IS, which is the 130 horsepower, which gives you 125 continuous at 2800, 130 is at 3300 RPM. This installation has a dual throttle installation. We do have, and this actually I have to say, this one is from 2017, so it's a little dated. It has dual battery. We got dual solenoids to operate the dual battery. It has an upgraded MOSFET regulator rectifier. You can see the big capacitor where I was talking about before. This is your energy tank. We have manifold pressure sensor here. It runs a Dynon HDX system, so it's a Dynon.
And this is fuel injected, so you've got
It's dual fuel pump.
Okay.
Yep, for redundancy. We do have the pre-filters here. We got a fine filter on this side. This engine is pre-CAN bus, so it still has a separate fuel pressure and an oil pressure sender. We do have over here, it's snapped by, but it has the shunt for your and I took the protective cover off.
Okay.
So it needs to go
So this
back
gives
on.
everybody an idea of kind of how it can be installed and how you like to install it. And there's plenty of room. You got these plates to be able to mount the ignition on, and there's plenty of room to kind of spread things out.
Yeah, and I have to say that we work very closely with Zenith Aircraft. I'm supplying the engines to Zenith Aircraft, and they have designed the engine mount and the cowling. So this is a standard Zenith install. If you order your engine through Zenith, you get the parts shown here to install it, except for all the Adel clamps. I like Adel clamps instead of a lot of zip ties. So if it has to have a little bit of a.
So you're saying you own some stock in Adel clamps, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. So Herman's very proud of this cabinet. Some people have a safe full of either guns or money, but Herman is priding himself on aircraft parts.
Ta-da! See?
So he's not going to disclose exactly how much money is in here, but it's a lot.
It's a lot, yes. It's a lot. So to show that I'm not making anything up, like we got a cylinder head here. This is the left one. There is a right one. And yes, I only have one from each side because it doesn't happen so often. We got the cylinders here. We got some pistons here, high and low compression, fuel filters, oil filters, brackets to hang oil coolers. We got the UL Power ECU has an onboard diagnostic system, so we have cables in stock for hooking that up. You can even make your own engine mount if you have the right pins. What else do we have?
So the biggest inventory of UL Power parts is sitting here in Herman's hangar.
Yeah, if they steal this cabinet, I'm out of luck.
All right, Herman, let's talk maintenance just briefly on these engines. What is the oil change intervals? Do you have to retorque anything over time? What does it look like for maintenance?
Yeah, so maintenance, it's pretty simple. The first 15 hours, after 15 hours, we do an oil change and filter change in general to take out, especially for fuel filters, if you got some debris in your tank. We retorque the heads, we adjust the valve clearance. They have solid lifters, so you have to do the valve clearance. They did that to save weight. Then we have an oil change after 50 hours, and after that, every 100 hours, we do an oil change, valve adjustment, or once a year. So not everybody makes 100 hours a year. And other than that, oil filter. And the oil filter is only $15 to get, including a copper seal ring, 3.5 quarts of oil, so very low maintenance. It's a very efficient and very wallet-friendly engine is how I would call it.
So go back to the oil change. Do you use like a typical Aeroshell type of
Aeroshell
aviation?
15W50,
Okay.
yes. Yes, and the filter, we have them in stock. As I said, I stock an amazing amount of spare parts. And we get the filters as a distributor for the US. We comply with Belgium requirements, and I only sell OEM. I know a lot of people who fly a UL Power, they do a cross-reference and they use different filters. All well possible, but I stick with the OEM parts.
Okay, so Herman let me in on a little secret project going on here on the grounds at Cannon Creek, which involves a UL Power engine not mounted the typical way, but it's vertically mounted.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go give you a little sneak peek behind the scenes right now of a project that's going into what?
It's going into a rotorway helicopter. We are designing, together with Dale, our good friend at the north end of the airport. And I have to say, he does most of the work. We designed a counter-rotating UL power. Belgium designed it on our request. A counter-rotating engine for the rotorway 162 exec helicopter.
Nice.
So we'll work on that. We'll take a look and see how progress is going.
Let's do it. Let's go take a walk.
Awesome. Let's go.
All right, so this is the helicopter.
Yeah.
It's the secret project going on in an undisclosed hangar on the field here. And there's the UL Power. This is not their first ever vertically mounted, but it's the first ever mounted this model.
Yes, and then it is the first ever mounted in a rotorway. UL Power started off initially with the helicopter early 2000s. I don't have the details on that, so I'm not going to guess. But we got approached by Dale. He wanted something very nice, more horsepower than the original rotorway engine. So Belgium designed the 350 as a counter-rotating, and our helicopter version as 150 horsepower. That's again a top rating. We'll have 145, including the cooling, the takeoff for the cooling, at 3,450 RPM.
So I want to get you to stand in frame here and kind of
Okay.
point out some of the differences going from a horizontal to now a vertically mounted engine. I can see right away the valve covers are different. And you said that's to scavenge the
we
oil?
scavenge the oil. Down here it goes into a dry sump tank, because this has a dry sump system.
Okay.
That's one big difference. Of course, we have a big pulley on here, custom designed. As I said, we run this continuously at about 3,450 RPMs.
Okay.
So because we don't have a propeller, we are not limited in our RPMs. We can run higher with our 150 horsepower engine, we call it. So the oil cooler is here in the forced cooling box. The intake is from the bottom, sucks the air through the cooler.
Okay.
And then you force it through your cylinder heads and cylinders to guarantee continuous cooling.
So it's from the bottom up, forcing air.
That is correct. And then the great thing, we keep it on a down low because we've not finalized it. Dale is working really hard, because all the credit goes to Dale for this, to make this in the rotorway. But he's already close to 80 pounds of weight savings compared to the water-cooled version.
The bucket of parts over here has basically been sliced out of this thing to be able to accommodate the installation. So that's a pretty nice, clean installation here.
Yeah, it will be. This is a great solution for the rotorway, and there are so many people struggling with their engines. The rotorway engine itself has only 3 main bearings, and we have 5. In the UL Power they have 5 main bearings plus an additional roller bearing in the top. So it's much stronger.
Anything different to the, I guess would be the throttle body on this installation too, or?
Throttle body is typically, it's about the same. The operation has to be reversed because you cannot. That's one of the things we just talked about last week, is that if you break a cable, you cannot go to full power because it goes away. You have to go, if you break a throttle cable, the engine needs to go to idle, and you go auto rotate to make it down.
Now, one of the other differences about this one is it's something different about it, right? It's got a higher RPM.
It has a different camshaft.
Different camshaft.
So yes, so it runs continuously at 3,450, and then we have close to a 10% that we can go to 105%, if I'm correct. So for takeoff, or if you need to have I'm not familiar too much with helicopters. I had one years ago, but I never flew it. So, but we have an energy reserve in there if you need to get a little bit more.
So with the different cam and the bump in RPM, what does that put the output to this on?
150 horsepower.
As opposed to the same engine in an airplane would be?
130 at 3,300.
So that's quite a bump.
That is quite a bump,
hundred,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is the high compression, of course, so it needs 93 octane fuel. So it has to have the high octane fuel in it.
One detail, I don't know if you all caught on video earlier, but this thing is ready for a Back to the Future lightning rod and Mr. Fusion up there, I think. All right, Herman, well, thanks for giving us a quick tour behind the scenes of a project going on with UL Power here. I want to mention also or talk about engine and engine training. Do you offer that either here or does UL Power offer that?
The answer is yes. We do offer here a service center training, and that will start next year, and also for customers if they want to do their own maintenance. We got 2 gradations. They don't have to go to Belgium. We give the training here. I got my training engine here, which we, for the service centers, we go deeper in than with the owner. So we are looking for open-minded mechanics who know how to work on newer stuff, who are an older mechanic who is willing to learn. We do need to have, they do need to have a place of operation. So if there's anybody interested in becoming a service center, we are looking to at least getting 1, maybe 2 in every state. So we want to have the map, the service center map, filled up. And it will be a service center. It's not that you got an importing dealer. We do the import, but it's for the taking care of your local pilots if they have a problem. And
so what's the best place to get in touch with you to inquire about that or get an engine kit from you?
Send me a text on 386-690-4239 or check out our website, ulpowerengines.com. And we have wheelsandwings.net, but ulpowerengines.com gets you to me. There is a little place where you can put in your information and send it to me, and I'll contact you, and we'll try to coordinate something. I need to have at least 5 people at a time to make it worthwhile, to spend a day. For the owner's training, it's 1 day. For the service center, it's a 2-day training.
Thank you to our patrons over on Patreon and 10TED10 in our co-pilot status. If you feel like supporting us, check us out on patreon.com. And if you are new here, welcome. You are invited right now to subscribe, like this video, and hit that bell so you don't miss a single episode.